Another big fight. They just keep coming, don't they?
I mean, we're being spoiled at the moment, aren't we? You know, obviously the Ngannou Fury thing. It was such a special spectacle of an event. I didn't think we were going to get something like this anytime soon. And I honestly thought we were going to see Ngannou fight one time in boxing and then come back to MMA. But because he did so well, he stirred the pot a little bit.
Yeah, and to be fair, I know we spoke to you before the Fury and Ngannou fight, and you were one of the few who said, well, hang on a minute, this guy's got a chance, you know, and you were right. Although he didn't win, he certainly gave a great account of himself.
And honestly, he surprised me as well. You know, for as much as I backed Ngannou, I did feel like Tyson would get to him, you know, sort of fifth or sixth round. But there were so many things that Ngannou did that surprised me as well as everybody else. You know, he maintained his composure, he was patient, he wasn't biting any feints or anything. Just an outstanding performance. Honestly, couldn't think it would have gone any better for him. But at the same time, I do think he proved a few things. He can do 10 rounds, he can punch, he can stand and hold his shape like a boxer. And I feel there are certain things he showed in that fight that are going to be very useful in this one against AJ.
Yeah, absolutely. And in Fury's defence, I mean, nobody knew what Ngannou was going to fight like. So he was almost, you know, the guinea pig, if you like. Now AJ's had a chance to review that fight. Do you think he'll approach it differently?
Well, you know, I think this is the benefit in AJ going second. You know, there isn't the surprise factor around Ngannou. Of course, you have to expect him to have made improvements, but the big surprise was how he was going to look the first time. AJ knows that now. The other thing as well, AJ's not going to show up halfway through a training camp, not fully prepared. He's going to give Ngannou all the respect he deserves. So I expect a very supremely conditioned Anthony Joshua that's quite cautious. He's going to be working behind his lead hand, and he's going to be keeping that rear hand super tight to his chin. And I don't think he's going to step outside of himself too much until he really feels like he's got a good read on Ngannou.
But what we do know is that Ngannou has carried that power from UFC into boxing because Tyson felt the full force of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and Tyson's a much more difficult person to hit than AJ, right? Like for me, AJ pushes really well behind his jab, but he leaves himself in range. That's where the counter punches for Ngannou. Even if they're landing on the guard, I still think he's going to be able to rock him and move him around. And then, of course, the psychological impact of, my goodness, this guy hits really hard. Then you clinch up with him, and he's incredibly strong as well. There are a couple of different moments in these opening rounds where AJ could really start to panic when he realizes what he's up against. And I don't think he's got the same kind of composure that Tyson had to be able to at least hold it together for 10 rounds.
Does that mean you're steering towards an Ngannou shock here?
I am actually, yeah, I am. You know, like I said, I thought Tyson was going to do the last one, and I still feel like Ngannou won that fight. I feel like this is a much more winnable fight for Ngannou, and I am going to back him in this one, yeah.
I mean, if he can beat Tyson, okay, he didn't beat it, but if he can give a good account of himself against Tyson, if he can beat AJ, I mean, the world's his oyster, isn't it?
Absolutely, the world's his oyster. I mean, just the performance that he gave against Tyson was enough to get him ranked. He's not won a boxing match, but he's still ranked. And he's not won a boxing match, but he's fighting Anthony Joshua. It shows you that even though it wasn't a victory, it was a victory, wasn't it? It's opened up so many doors for him. And I think the more success that he has, the more doors are going to swing open.
And you touched on Ngannou surprising you. Did Fury surprise you? Did that performance surprise you?
Yes, but not in the same kind of ways. Like with Ngannou, I was surprised and impressed. With Fury, I was like, I wanted the full version of you. I wanted the Deontay Wilder version of Fury. You know, the one that shows up with the fear of God in him, like someone could take his head off. I think he felt like it was going to be a rough couple of rounds, but he's conditioned enough to stifle it, and then he's going to take over. And I think as soon as the third, fourth round hit, he realised that he wasn't going to be able to put the performance together that he'd hoped. It wasn't the promotional tool that he'd hoped in the lead up to the Usyk fight, and everything kind of was unsettled. There was a lot on his shoulders, and I'm sure that Tyson felt that on the morning that he woke up, and then certainly when his bum touched the floor after that big punch.
And you know, talking of Fury, are we going to see a different Tyson come out against Usyk on February the 17th?
Yeah, I think so. You know, even if he'd have had a good performance against Ngannou, I still feel like the process of stepping in there and, you know, having that little bit of a run out, the ring walk and etc. There's all a benefit there, you know what I mean? It all makes everything so much more familiar for him. But the fact that he got the reality check of, you need to be ready for this guy, because if Ngannou can do that to you, what's Usyk going to be doing? I think we're going to get the best version that we've ever seen of Tyson Fury.
Well, that's right. That might actually be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it was a warning shot over the bow, wasn't it? It was you need to be ready. If you weren't ready for this guy, then, you know, it wasn't going to cost you nearly as much. But if you come in unprepared against Usyk, he's going to push you around, he's going to make you work, he's going to make you look untidy. It was a wake-up call for him, and I think he'll benefit from it.
And just going back to this fight before we go, Joshua Ngannou, the undercard's pretty tasty. That's going to be announced shortly. Parker against Zhang.
Oh man, Yeah, Parker is a supremely technical fighter. He's impressed me, especially in his last couple of fights. His composure, his ability to manage the distance between him and his opponent. But then he's dealing with someone that's just such a behemoth. Like, he's going to have to use his smarts and his footwork. He's going to have to really draw on his fight IQ. But I do also feel like he's still got the power to do the damage to hurt the big guy.
So Parker, Ngannou, Fury, Wilder. Start that again. Don't think he's going to be fighting Wilder again. Fury, Usyk. What's your prediction for that?
I think Fury should do it. I mean, you know, the good big man should always beat the good small man. That was what I was always taught in boxing, right? Like, Fury is a very, very smart individual. He's very tricky. He's very he's very good at laying traps for his opponents to fall into. And a lot of heavyweights fall into those traps and he eats them alive. The thing with Usyk, he's a lot smarter and he's a bit more unpredictable than most of the heavyweights that Fury's going to come up against. I think Fury's going to do it. I think he's going to do it based on the fact that he is a bit bigger and a bit more powerful. But I think it's going to be a close fight. And I think at the end of it, people are going to go, well, these two guys were the same size. I think Usyk would have probably taken it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Dan, as always.
No worries.